reading on the air first and third Sunday, 7 p.m., W5FC. This is the W5FC repeater, PL 110.9.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Use it, use it, use it, use it.
Alright, thank you, BJ. Let's see. This is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray. My name is Tom. I'll be your net control for tonight's Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic. I encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro signs break, break, and your call sign enthusiastically. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? Please come now. This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without directions from World Net Control. That would be me. And stations are reminded to ID at the end of their transmissions. This weekly net operates on this frequency with a PL tone of 110 decibel 9er. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, live audio, video links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org right now for the complete list. Yes, we have pictures, we have astronomy charts, you name it, it's there. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate in tonight's net. It's divided into, is it 90 minutes long or thereabouts, structured in a bunch of parts. General announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events where we can look through a telescope, National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening, space exploration, space history was up. Topic Constellation of the week, we have stars tonight. Space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, astronomical Q&A in the 73 round. Now, depending on how far we go and all of that, we may get some, but maybe not all, of those topics. All amateurs licensed transmit on this frequency are welcome to check in. So let's start with short time check-ins. If you're one of those, please come with your call sign name where you're transmitting from. Short time now. Okay, hearing none, we will move on to general check-ins. If you'd like to join us, please come with your call sign name where you're transmitting from. Let's go.
This is Whiskey Bravo number 4, Mike Foxtrot India WB4MFI Ted Dallas Low Power Long Time.
November 5, Whiskey Oscar India, William, short time.
This is Whiskey 5 Golf Uniform Sierra, Gus, far northeast Dallas.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5 Papa Lima Huey
Richardson, Texas.
This is Kilo Golf 5 Papa Mike far east south east Richardson.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, in Mesquite.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda and DeSoto.
November 5, Oscar Foxtrot, Clay in Mesquite.
Alpha 5 Alpha Hotel Robert Richards.
Alpha Foxtrot 5, Tango X-Ray, BJ, far south east.
Okay, that was a bizarre check-in. Let me get everybody. I got WB4MF, Ted, Dallas, low power, long time. N5WI, William, he's short time. I got you, William. I'll be back in a sec. W5GUS, Gus, far northeast Dallas. I got K5PLL, Huey, Richardson, KC5P, Mike, and I'm not going to try. Somewhere in Richardson, K5JHA, that's Chaz and Mesquite. I got WB5OZL, Miss Brenda DeSoto, N5OF, Clay, Mesquite, AA5AH, that's Robert and Richardson. I got AF5TX, BJ, he's lost somewhere. I suspect he's in Crandall. I'll take additional check-ins. Please come now.
November 5 Whiskey Tango Alpha Jonathan in Irving.
Whiskey 5 Echo Bravo, David in Dallas.
Kilo 5, Golf Lima Delta, Randy Rowlett.
Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton.
November 5, India Mike Sierra, JJ in far north Carrollton.
Kilo Golf 5, Alpha Papa Lima, Patrick in Dallas.
November 5, Bravo, Bill in Irving.
All right, let me go ahead and get those. Got to pause. I got N5WTA, Jonathan in Irving. W5EBB, David in Dallas. K5GLD, that's Randy in Rowlett. KG5WVL, James in Carrollton. N5IMS, JJ, far north Carrollton. I got KG5APL, that's Patrick in Dallas. N5BB, Mr. Bill in Irving. Additional check-ins, please come now.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill, Farmers Ranch.
All right, I picked up another one. KF5ZBL, Mr. Bill in Farmers Branch. Let's me go over to Echolink. I will give you extra time. Please check in now. You can come in over audio or voice. Just give your call sign name where you're transmitting from. Otherwise, just let me know on the chat box that you are there, and I will check you in. Echolink only. Please come now. I will give you extra time.
Whiskey 0, Mike, Bravo Charlie, Shane, and
Bethany. Hi, Dallas Smith.
in Blue Springs. Golf 5, Zulu Mike Golf, Joe in Middle Arlington.
India 5, Bravo November Papa, Luis in Fort Worth.
All right, I picked up
Kilo 5, Juliet, Delta Whiskey, John in Norman, Oklahoma.
got W0 MDC. That's Bethany. Bethany and Shane over in Blue Springs, Missouri. Welcome back, guys. KG5ZMG. That's Joe in Arlington. I got KI5BNP. That's Luis in Fort Worth. I'll take check-ins from anywhere, any place. Right now, please come with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from.
Kilo 5, Juliet, Delta Whiskey, John in Norman, Oklahoma.
I picked up one more, K5JDW, John in Norman in his summer palatial mansion up in Norman, Oklahoma. Okay, I am KE5ICX. We'll dispense with the additional check-ins for now, but we will come back to that. Do we have any general announcements this evening? Anything you would like to bring that are ham, astronautical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams? Please come down. All right, here none. Tony's not here, but I'm looking to see what he put on from earlier. Don't forget the contest calendar for this week are full of little sprint events, I should say, which are great if you would have a chance to try one. The RSGB Hope QSO Special Party. QSO party continues if you want with an electrifying contest experience. You could try out the contest Volta RTT-wide contest sponsored by the Associazione Radio Amatori All'Italia. I think they're Italian. Let me see if there's anything else. He's got these in here. You guys heard about that earlier. Then the North Pole is about to switch poles. The black hole thingy, we'll probably cover that later. I think that's it, just contest-wise. So let me go ahead and continue. I normally give the AMSAT net stuff. You can go to the website and find that information out. I'm going to skip it tonight. It is on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. on Echolink. You can find out additional information at amsatnet.com. Don't forget the DARC nets. We've got a bunch. Mondays are a good night, as well as Saturdays, as you all know, 7 p.m. First week, Ham Fixins, Cooking Net. Second week is MCOM 101. Third week is Ham Fixins, that's second helping, by the way, and the fourth week is GeekNet, and then Saturday is, of course, the Night of Net, which includes TechNet at 7, Skynet at 9, that's what you're on right now, and the Afterglow Movie Net at 10:30, which I have information on right now. Klaatu looked at the Cosmic Man and shook his head. You turned right when I told you to turn left. That left us with an uncontrolled crash landing on Earth. Klaatu glared disapprovingly, but continued. Get the "We Come in Peace" speech. It's in the intergalactic glove box, next to the refueling station 3D galactic map. The Cosmic Man returned with the speech. Klaatu continued. Did you memorize the part? You will soon head for the stars? CM nodded. Did you remember the part about your destination is your destruction is assured if you fail to comply? CM nodded. Remember to use your outdoor voice when speaking to the Earthlings. They must know you mean business, otherwise they just shoot you without asking questions. Believe me, I know. Also, Gort is in for his 50 billion mile oil change, so you're on your own. Join us for the next Afterglow movie craptacular, The Cosmic Man from 1959 or 58. I think it's 59, tonight at 10:30. You can keep up with all the DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, w5fc.org.
KG5P, comment.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
This is a great movie. This is what the Afterglow Net is all about. The CM, i.e. Cosmic Man, was played by John Carradine, this is probably the stiffest of all his roles. He's pretty stiff anyway. In fact, I think he is a stiff. But fantastic movie. The essence of Afterglow. KG5P.
Okay. Oh, well, I hope it works out that way. We'll find out when people check in. You know our crowd is unpredictable, and they carry torches. Okay, I've got Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events. I don't know. Does anybody have anything they want to bring to the net this evening on that one? I know everything's shut down everywhere, but if you've got an online thing going on, maybe now would be the time to talk about it. From KE5ICX, come with your call sign.
KF5JHA.
Well, Chaz, you're the man. Go ahead, from KE5ICX.
Good evening, everyone. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. The Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas has meetings on the fourth Friday of each month. The last couple of months have been virtual meetings via Zoom, and the plan is for May to do the same. Let's hope we can do face-to-face meeting in June. That would be awesome. But in May, I should say, we'll probably have a virtual meeting. Right now, the last time I checked, we did not have a featured speaker, but we'll have one somehow, some way. So the meeting time is at 7:30, and if you want to join in on the virtual meeting, go online to texasastro.org and contact one of the officers, and they'll let you in if you're not a member. If you are a member, you should have received or will be receiving the link to the online meeting on Zoom. You'll have to have the meeting number and the password and the secret handshake and, you know, all that stuff. We used to have observing on every Saturday night. That's why Skynet was timed to be on Saturday night, so maybe we get live reports from the observing sessions, but we haven't been able to do that for the last couple of months. So hopefully once this shelter-in-place is over and we can actually meet together, we'll have a resumption of the observing stations on Saturday nights. All this can be found at texasastro.org for any more details. Back to you. Thank you, Tom.
All right, thank you, Chaz. I appreciate that. Yeah, you can always send me the secret handshake. I'd love to hear one of the meetings. I haven't been there in quite a while, and I do enjoy them. It's just usually on a Friday night and past my bedtime. That's the way it goes. Okay, this is KE5ICX and net control for tonight's Skynet. Let's see, National Space Society events and activities. That'd be Bill, N5BV. Bill, you got anything? Online stuff or whatever you want to tell us about? Go ahead if you do, from KE5ICX.
Well, not really, Tom. Things are still shut down. National Space Society has our local meetings. This is the North Texas chapter, the second Sunday of every month. Well, that's tomorrow. So again, we're having a virtual WebEx session, which I'm hosting. But Other than that, there's not a lot happening. International Space Development Conference in late May was canceled in Frisco. And other than online meetings, there's nothing else going on right now. We can't go to museums or other places or schools and do events like we normally do. This is N5BB.
All right, thank you, Bill. And I kind of abbreviated this at this point because that's exactly what's going on. I haven't been to my museum that I volunteer at in, what is it, 3 months now? And well, you know, we're all feeling the same way. Okay, well, you never know. When something is online and available, that sometimes works. We do have the lecture and lab that we did online last month. The next one is coming up on the fourth Saturday of the month, which I think is, what is it? It's another digital program at N5TIM, so it looks like it could be interesting. I just lost the page here, but look to the w5fc.org website. The previous event was very popular. It had to do with FT4 and FT8, very informative. Okay, this is KE5ICX. I am the net control for tonight. Let's talk about the discussion topic of the evening. Over on Facebook, which we have the Skynet, Dallas Amateur Radio Club Astronomy Net, there was some discussion about Starlink, which is the satellite constellation. People had some comments about it, and I thought, well, you know what, I'm not an expert, but I can certainly look it up on Wiki and get some information on it. There were some eye-popping things I learned about it. So I exhaustively researched this, which meant I went to Wikipedia and found the information. So this is what I found. Here we go. Starlink is a satellite constellation being constructed by SpaceX to provide satellite internet access. The constellation will consist of thousands of mass-produced small satellites in low Earth orbit, or LEO, working in combination with ground transceivers. SpaceX also plans to sell some of the satellites for military, scientific, or exploratory purposes. Concerns have been raised about the long-term danger of space debris resulting from placing thousands of satellites in orbits above 370 miles and a possible impact on astronomy, although the Starlink satellites orbit at 340 miles and SpaceX is reportedly attempting to solve the latter issue. On Starlink 2, one of the satellites had an experimental coating to make it less reflective, thus impact ground-based astronomical observations. The total cost of the decade-long project is to design, build, and deploy the constellation was estimated by SpaceX in May 2018 to be about $10 billion. Product development began in 2015, and the first two prototypes test flight was launched in February of 2018. A second set of test satellites and the first large deployment of a piece of the constellation occurred on May 24, 2019, when the first 60 operational satellites were launched. The SpaceX Satellite Development Facility in Redmond, Washington, houses the Starlink research, development, manufacturing, and on-orbit operations. As of April 22nd of this year, SpaceX is targeting a private beta service in the northern U.S. and Canada, and by August of 2020 with public beta following in November of 2020. SpaceX is launching 60 satellites at a time, aiming to deploy 1,584 of the 570-pound spacecraft to provide near global service by late 2021 or 22. However, these are only internal projections and not set dates. In May 2018, SpaceX expected the total cost of development and build-out of the constellation to approach $10 billion. In mid-2018, SpaceX reorganized the satellite development division in Redmond and terminated several members of senior management. Oops. I forgot about that. I didn't realize that. Okay. In November 2018, SpaceX received U.S. U.S. regulatory approval to deploy 7,518 broadband satellites, in addition to the 4,425 approved earlier. SpaceX initial 4425 satellites have been requested in the 2016 regulatory filings to orbit at altitudes of 690 miles to 823 miles, well above the International Space Station. The new approval was for the addition of very low Earth orbit, non-stationary satellite orbit constellation consisting of 7,518 satellites operating at altitudes of 208 to 215 miles below the ISS. Also in November, SpaceX made new regulatory filings with the U.S. Federal Communications Commission to request the ability to alter its previously granted license in order to operate approximately 1,600 of the 4,425 Ka/Ku band satellites approved for operation at 710 miles in the newer lower shell constellation at only 340 mile orbital altitude. These satellites would effectively operate in the third orbital shell at 340-mile orbit, while the higher and lower orbits at approximately 750 miles and approximately 210 miles will be used only later once a considerably larger deployment of satellites becomes possible in later years of the deployment process. The FCC approved the request in April of 2019, giving approval to place nearly 12,000, that's 12,000 satellites in three orbital shells, initially at 340 miles altitude, subsequently placing 2,800 KUK band satellites at 710 miles and approximately 7,500 V-band satellites at 210 miles. With plans by several providers to build commercial space internet mega constellations of thousands of satellites increasingly likely to become a reality, the U.S. military began to perform test studies in 2018 to evaluate how the networks might be used. In December, the U.S. Air Force issued the U.S. a $28 million contract for specific test services on Starlink. And that's what I've got for tonight. Maybe next month I'll come back, or if there's an opening, I'll talk about how it affects astronomy. But this is what I discovered. I did not know about the 12,000 satellite thing. That's quite eye-popping, and I can just imagine what that does for space junk when these things fail. So that's what I got. I thought you might find that interesting. I don't know if I can answer any questions, but I'll take them if you do. Please come with your call sign.
W5EBB.
W5EBB. David, go ahead.
I also found tonight www.starlink.com, and it has some extra information about the ion propulsion system. And what I'd also asked about a week ago was a scuttle function, which is in a ship term would be the intentional sinking. But these apparently have a scuttle function to enable them to remove themselves from orbit and come, burn up in the atmosphere on command, or in the case of a malfunction of the propulsion system, it would decay over the course of a few years, I think. But that's on Starlink.com, W5EBB.
All right, thank you, David. Starlink.com, additional information. Boy, that's too obvious. If I'd known that, I probably would have gone there first. Thanks very much. I'll check that out later on. Okay, this is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight's Skynet. I'll tell you what, I'll take additional check-ins before we move on to space exploration and history and news. So anybody who would like to join us, please come with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from.
Kilo Echo 5, Romeo Foxtrot Zulu, Darwin in Garland.
Kilo 5, Alpha, November, Papa, Allen in Dallas.
Check, WCBC.
there were 3 additional check-ins, 2 on RF and 1 on Echolink. The Echolink station, stand by. I need you to repeat. I got KE5RFZ, that's Darwin and Garland. I got K5ANP, that's Allen in Dallas. Okay, the Echolink station, try one more time. You got covered over by the RF, so please try again.
The recheck, W0MBC.
Kilo X-ray 7, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, Sean from Denton, checking in.
All right, just doing my paperwork here. I got KX7 WTF, that's Sean in Denton. I got you checked in, and then I've got, hold on here, W0MBC with the recheck, so go ahead, over on Echolink.
Third party has a message.
Good night, Dallas Nut. See you next week.
All right, thank you, Bethany. Have a good evening and have a good weekend. Thank you for checking in. You and your dad, Shane. Okay, very good. Let's see here. Next up is space exploration and news and history. That is handled by Miss Brenda, WB5OZL this week. So, Brenda, go ahead with your report.
Thank you, Tom. This is WB5OZL. In space exploration news, the first flight of NASA astronauts from U.S. soil in nearly 9 years finally has a launch date, May 27th. The first flight of NASA astronauts from U.S. soil, the mission will launch astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley to the International Space Station on a SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft in a final test flight for NASA. The mission, Demo 2, will mark NASA's first launch from America's soil since the agency's space shuttle fleet retired in July 2011. And in mid-May, the U.S. military's X-37B space plane is heading back into space. We don't know what it does. It's military. If you should know, please share that with us. And a space-related birthday on May 10th, 1900, Cecilia Helena Payne Gaspachin was born. She was a British-born American astronomer and astrophysicist who proposed in her 1925 doctoral thesis that stars were composed primarily of hydrogen and helium. Her groundbreaking conclusion was initially rejected because it contradicted the scientific wisdom of the time, which held that there were no significant elemental differences between the sun and the earth. Independent observations eventually proved she was actually correct. Now, this week in space history, May 5th, 1961, Alan Shepard made history in Mercury capsule on May 5th when he became the first American in space. He named the capsule Freedom 7, the number signifying the 7 Mercury astronauts. 10 years later, he walked on the moon with the Apollo 14 mission. The Freedom 7 capsule is currently on display at the Udvar Hazy. And the Hayabusa spacecraft That's Peregrine Falcon in Japanese, was a robotic spacecraft developed by the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA, to return a sample of material from a small near-Earth asteroid named 25143 Itokawa to Earth for further analysis. Hayabusa, formerly known as Muses C from Mu Space Engineering Spacecraft C, was launched on May 9th, 2003, and rendezvoused with Itokawa in mid-September 2005. After arriving in Itokawa, Hayabusa studied the asteroid's shape, spin, topography, color, composition, density, and history. In November 2005, it landed on the astronaut and collected samples in the form of tiny grains of asteroidal material, which were returned to Earth aboard the spacecraft on June 13th, 2010. And on May 10th, 1967, the M2FU lifting body crash lands. It later became the opening scene of The $6 Million Man as Steve Austin crashed his plane. The M2F2 was a heavyweight lifting body based on studies at NASA's Ames and Langley Research Centers, built by Northrop Corporation in 1966. Before powered flights were undertaken, a series of glide flights were conducted. On May 10th, 1967, the 16th and last glide flight ended in disaster as a vehicle slammed into the lake bed on landing. With test pilot Bruce Peterson at the controls, the M2F2 suffered a pilot-induced oscillation, known as a PIO, as it neared the lake bed. At the core of this problem was the fact that the wings of the M2F2, essentially the body of the aircraft, produced considerably less roll authority than most aircraft. This resulted in less force available to the pilot to control the aircraft in roll. As a consequence, when Peterson attempted to perform roll maneuvers, the response of the vehicle was subsequently less than expected, thus lending to a soft feel for this control, which often leads to PIO in the roll axis. The vehicle rolled from side to side in flight as he tried to bring it under control. Peterson recovered and then observed a rescue helicopter that seemed to pose a collision threat. Distracted, Peterson drifted into a crosswind to an unmarked area of the lake bed where it was very difficult to judge the height over the ground because of a lack of guidance, the markers provided on the lake bed runway. Anyway, you've all seen footage of this, and Peterson always hated that every time he turned in a $6 Million Man, he saw his plane slamming into the ground. Of course, Tom will tell you the $6 Million Man was the last man to look, Steve Austin was the last man to walk on the moon, despite rumors that it was actually Gene Cernan. All right, that's all I have. Back to Nat, WB5OZL.
All right, thank you, Miss Brenda. I almost forgot that I was the net control. I thought, oh, it's me. So thank you very much. Very interesting. Yeah, I love that scene from the $6 Million Man. And when I've been at the museum, I do tell the kids that Steve Austin was the last man to walk on the moon. But unfortunately, they don't know who Steve Austin is any more than they know who Gene Cernan was. Kids. And people who get old, like myself. Okay. Let's go ahead and go on to the next section. We've got Chaz, KF5JHA. Chaz, what's up for May 9th from KE5ICX?
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I was over on Echolink doing stuff, yes. Thank you, Tom, KE5ICX. And this is Chaz, KF5JHA. My degree is in astrophysics, and I work at Brookhaven Community College. We call this segment of Skynet, What's Up? Over the last 3 weeks, we've had a tour of the spring evening sky on Skynet. Now let's look around the early morning sky at around 5:30 a.m. If you start looking past that time, it's starting to get twilight. So this is the same sky that you would see in the evening sky in early September. Tomorrow morning sky is dominated by 4 bright objects. Looking south and going from left to right, they are Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, and the Moon. Mars is getting closer and closer to us and will be at its closest to the Earth in October. Mars has not been this close to the Earth since the summer of 2018. And in December, Saturn and Jupiter will be so close together in the sky that they will actually appear as a single object to the unaided eye. In reality, Saturn and Jupiter will be separated by hundreds of millions of miles in space. If you are away from the city lights in the early morning sky, the Milky Way stretches from the south-southeastern sky to almost overhead in the north-northeastern sky. Just using a pair of binoculars and scanning the Milky Way, you could find all sorts of star clusters and nebulas and, well, almost like lions and tigers and bears. In the southern sky, you can find the heart of the Milky Way in the upper part of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is supposed to be a half-human, half-horse creature called a centaur, but most people see it as a teapot with a handle and a spout and a lid. I would love to sing I'm a Little Teapot right now, but the FCC prohibits music on amateur radio frequencies, so you are robbed of hearing my beautiful voice. Tomorrow morning, the moon is just above the spout of the teapot, and above the moon is the location of the center of the Milky Way. A black hole is located at the center of the Milky Way. We can't see the black hole, but we know that it is there from the evidence of how it is affecting other things in that area. Just to the right of Sagittarius is Scorpius, the scorpion. It really looks like a Texas scorpion. On the right side are the pinchers. A bright red-orange star, Antares, represents its heart, and at the end of its curved tail are 2 stars representing its stinger. Located just off the tail of the scorpion are the first 2 Messier objects that I found by myself in my own telescope, M6 and M7. They can be found in a dark, non-light blue sky with just your 2 eyes. And with a pair of binoculars, you can see the few of the individual stars peeking through in the star clusters. If you look high in the south and up to the zenith, you can find 3 bright stars forming a triangle. This is called the summer triangle. It is visible all night long during the short summer nights. Each star is in a different constellation. The most southern star in the triangle is Altair, in the constellation of Aquila, the eagle. The star Altair represents one of the eyes of the eagle. The brightest star of the 3, Vega, is in the constellation of Lyra, the harp. If you've seen pictures of angels with a little handheld harp, those are called lyres. And that's what Lyra is, a lyre. And I'm not lying about that. Okay. And northeast star in the summer triangle is called Deneb, and it is the tail of Cygnus the swan. Cygnus is also known as the Northern Cross. Now, face the northern sky. The Big Dipper is low in the northwest. Using the pointer stars of the Big Dipper, Merak, and Dubhe, and drawing a line, you can find the North Star, also known as Polaris. Polaris is the brightest star in the Little Dipper. It's not the brightest star in the sky. And the North Star is also the end of the candle of the Little Dipper. High in the northeast, you will find Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia is a queen sitting in a chair, but it looks more like the number 3 in the early morning, well, tomorrow morning sky. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. On May the 7th, the moon was full. That's just a couple of days ago. The full moon in May has several different names: the flower moon, the corn planting moon, and the milk moon. As you can see, many of the full moon names come from agriculture. So the current phase of the moon is a waning gibbous, and it'll probably be rising about the same time as Skynet ends. On May the 14th, the moon will be at its third quarter, and the moon will be new on May 22nd, which is the beginning of the lunar cycle. On May 11th, low in the western evening sky during twilight, you might be able to spot Mercury next to the Pleiades star cluster. Again, this will make for a great photo opportunity as long as it is clear. And if he is listening, I challenge one of the Brookhaven astronomy students, Brian, who's doing an awful lot of astrophotography, to try to get a picture of this. It will be a challenge, since this will be during twilight. Just a few hours later, on the morning of Tuesday, May the 12th, at around 2 a.m., look for the moon and Jupiter in conjunction. They are located in the southeastern sky, and Saturn is just a little bit lower. On May the 5th at 4 a.m., the moon and Mars will be in conjunction and easily seen rising in the southeastern sky. Mars is getting closer and closer to the Earth. In October, Mars and the Earth will be at their closest in over 2 years. I'll talk more about that as we get closer to that event. Okay, once again, the next meeting of the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas will be on May 22nd. At this point in time, the plan is to have another virtual club meeting using Zoom. Details are coming forth for that next club meeting, and if I know the featured speaker, I'll let you know. Parking won't be a problem. Isn't that great? And I hope TAS will be resuming face-to-face meetings and having public observing sessions after all this shelter-in-place is over. Once again, their website is texasastro.org. You can find details there. Now, do any of you out there in Radio Land have a question or need a fill or any information? Maybe you have just a general astronomy question. I don't know everything, but I may know the answer to your question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question.
KG5P, I have a question.
Oh, I am so glad, Mike. Let me know. What is it?
Well, Chaz, I've got a straight question for you tonight. You mentioned the Pleiades. You said twilight. Could you correct me on the time, because I definitely will bring up my scope and get a shot of it. So I could look it up. I should know this, but you'll probably fill me in. So what time is the Pleiades observable on May 12th, KG5P?
Now, really what you need to do is go out on May the 11th, because that's when Mercury will be right next to the Pleiades, and that just is getting dark. So as soon as it's starting to get dark, you need to go out. Now, I'm going to say around 8:30 or so, but let me see. I think on my PowerPoint, I don't have that sitting on my computer right now. Tom, if you could bring that up, that would be awesome. I can't remember what time I put in there, but I'm thinking it around 9:30 or so. I think that's what it is. So we'll say 9:30 on May the 11th. Did that help you out, Mike?
Absolutely. And the Pleiades is a very interesting constellation. For example, when I was in Tahiti, the Pleiades marks the beginning of the dry season, and that's when they do the planting. And the rainy season, it's too much rain. So the Pleiades is used by very many cultures for planting and harvesting and that kind of stuff. KG5P.
Thank you very much, Mike. Okay, Now let's move on. If you are a Brookhaven student listening or watching Skynet tonight, last week, May the 2nd, was the last Skynet that you could be using for class credit. But you are welcome to continue to watch or listen to Skynet every week just for fun. There has been as many as 24 Brookhaven students listening in or watching every Skynet over the last several weeks. That's kind of cool. One of the things that the students have asked is, what are all these numbers and letters that are being used? All amateur radio operators must have a license from the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, in order to transmit on these wavelengths. The call signs that we use are our license numbers, similar to a driver's license number for vehicle operation. My radio call sign is KF5JHA. Because some letters sound similar to each other, we often use some phonetic words to represent each letter in our radio call sign, just to be more clear. For example, my radio call sign KF5JHA, using phonetic words, is Kilo Foxtrot 5 Juliet Hotel Alpha. As many radio operators, the FCC requires us to use our radio call signs every few minutes. Now, if anyone is interested in radio operation, then visit the Dallas Amateur Radio Club website, w5fc.org. Or maybe you could say it's whiskey5friedchicken.org.
KF5PLL to KF5JHA.
Hang on just a minute, Huey. I'll get to you in just a moment. Another question that some Brookhaven folks have is that when the video portion is on the air, there's this guy on the screen. He isn't talking most of the time. He's just sitting there. Let me explain who this is. His name is Tom, and he is sort of like our technical engineer. Hey, wave hi at everyone. Go ahead. I can see you on the video if you do that. Tom helps connect the amateur radio broadcast to our video portion, and then he broadcasts the video over the internet to YouTube and Facebook. Tom, please fill in the gaps, or correct me if I'm wrong. Tom, KE5ICX, the net is yours for a few moments.
Well, Chaz, I don't know what to say. Yes, I'm net control, and once a month I'm net control, and then the rest of the time I do all this stuff, which is the videos. And they go out over 3 different streams. The one is the Facebook page for the Skynet, Dallas Amateur Radio Club Astronomy Net. Another one goes off to YouTube. Also under DARC Skynet, you'll find it there. Skynet's a very popular word, so we have to put in DARC, which is Dallas Amateur Radio Club Skynet, DARC Skynet. And then we also go out to Twitch. Now that's a gaming network, and some of you may be familiar with that. It does an exceptionally clear picture, but it's not really... it's a gaming net, but we do get people from there as well. So those 3 locations, and that's where we've been doing this now for the last, 8 years, I guess? Maybe longer than that, I'm not sure. Go ahead, Chaz, continue from KE5ICX.
Well, thanks, Tom. Twitch is new to me. I'll have to go look that up. Skynet is the brainchild of Tom. Tom was the experienced amateur radio operator, and I was the astronomer that started Skynet over 8 years ago. I call Tom the grandfather of Skynet. I hope you don't mind that, Tom. I wonder what Tom calls me. Yeah, you can smile at that one. I don't know if I want to know the answer to that question. Okay, Huey, why don't you come now, because I have just one more little piece of what's up. So, PLL, what's your question?
Thank you for having me on it. My question, while the astronomy website announcement of the first one was a neutron star poles, and the other is an optical star individual. And is this unique, or was it just another reporting of one that they found? Back to you.
Huey, can you try that one more time? You broke up there in the first half of your transmission, so hold your HT steady and let's try it again.
Can you hear me now?
Sounds like a cell phone commercial. You sound great right now. Go ahead.
This week on one of the astronomy websites, there was the announcement of a black hole optical binary pair. And if I'm not mistaken, they were talking about it being one of the first ones or very few. So my question is twofold. Do black holes sometimes have an optical, a visual star adjacent to it? Are they common or are they rare? Back to you.
Thank you, Huey. That's a great question. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if we have the answer to that one, since this is one of the few that we've found. The black hole, which is a massive one at the center of the Milky Way, actually has several stars that are going around it. And we've taken pictures over a period of time, looped them together, and actually watched sort of a video movie, a time lapse of stars looping around that big black hole at the center of the Milky Way. So you could almost say it has more than a visual pair. It has multiple visual stars going around it. So I don't know if it's common. We're going to have to wait and see about that. That's a great question. Did that answer your question, Huey?
I believe so. There was something unique about this black hole with a dedicated optical binary star orbiting it. And I have seen in the infrared stars orbiting the central black hole in our active galactic nucleus. But there was something unique about this one that I do not recall, but thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Huey. Maybe we'll bring that up in a future Skynet as one of our topics of discussion. Okay, one more question that some of the people at Brookhaven have asked is, what is a net? The easy answer to that is that a net is a meeting of amateur radio operators on the radio. To make sure that we don't have everyone talking at the same time, there's usually someone called the net control, or I would call them the radio traffic cop, just to make sure the net flows smoothly. Tonight's net control is Tom, KE5ICX. And the net control duties for Skynet is rotated between several different radio operators from one week to the next. So as the moon wanes toward the end of May, so do these words. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. Until next time, keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is Chaz, KF5JHA. Back to our net control, Tom, KE5ICX. Good night.
Thank you, Chaz, and thank you for not singing this evening. I do appreciate that. I think I heard you sing one time, and that was enough. And maybe I didn't, but I just imagined it, which is equally as scary in and of itself. This is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight. I'll go ahead and check in K5KOB, Kilo Oscar Bravo. That's Philip from Crandall. He's always over on Echolink. I guess he's shy to check in with us, but he's out there, and he's always mentions that he's there. So I hope you're listening, Philip, and I did get you in tonight. Let's see. You know what? I'll go ahead and ask if there's additional check-ins. I'll take them now. So if you'd like to join us, please come with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from.
So India 5, Gulf Romeo Hotel, Melissa in Dallas.
G5, EPH on Plano.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Tango Hotel Bravo, Branson, Henrietta.
you to Phil. I was trying to figure out if I could get the one station I missed. I've got KI5GRH, that's Melissa in Dallas. The next station I got, I think, is KG5EPH, Echo Papa Hotel. If I'm even close to your call sign, could you give me the full information again, your call sign name and where you're transmitting from? I thought you're on Echolink, but I'm not so sure now, so please come again. The Echo Papa Hotel station.
Golf 5, Papa Hotel, John, Plano.
All right, thank you, John. Obviously, I murdered your call sign. I got KG5PPH, John in Plano. Thank you for discombobulating your call sign that I mangled very badly. And I got KF5THB, that's Brent over in Henrietta. Thank you, guys and gals, for checking in. I appreciate it. The next station, next section of the net is the constellation or topic of the week. Mike has a star to talk about. That's KG5P. Mike, the net's yours.
Okay, thank you, Tom. This is KG5P. All right, my degree is in goldfish swallowing from ESU. That's Enormous State University, which is right across the street from Burleson Air Force Base. I was in the ROTC program. Okay, originally, we had a really lovely lady that was, she was a regular on this net plus many of the other Dallas nets. It was Miss Carolyn, and she passed away about a year ago today. And so to keep a tradition up, I thought we'd do the constellation of the month. Carolyn did a constellation every week. Now, it so turns out that Chaz is far better at constellations than I am. Far better. So I'm going to kind of leave the constellations to Chaz, whom he just heard, and also talk about the stars. Now, tonight's star is Regulus, and I've been talking about my favorite stars, and Regulus is one of them. And the reason is because I'm not a star hopper like Kelly is, but I have a go-to mount. Star hopping is a real skill that has to be developed, and I just haven't been able to develop it living here in the city. So basically what I do is I program my go-to mount, and I have to do that by identifying certain stars. And one of the stars is Capella, that we have talked about before. Castor and Pollux are another star there in the west. We talked about Antares last week, which is kind of in the southeast. And today I'm going to talk about Regulus. It's in the southwest. Now, Chaz talked about Regulus, or about Leo, and about a week ago, I think it was. He talked about Leo, and the cool thing about Leo is it actually looks like a lion. And it's like Antares is in Scorpio, and Scorpio, even by my mediocre imagination, it looks kind of like a scorpion. Now, how they get the dog out of Canis Minor, I don't know. But, you know, my imagination is that good. But I definitely can see Leo and Regulus. Or, I mean, the star is Regulus. That's the bright star. So, what this is, Regulus is Alpha Leonis, which usually, but not always, is the brightest star, because Alpha is usually the brightest star, but not necessarily, but most of the time. And in case of Leo, it is the brightest star. It's magnitude 1.35, which is the brightest star in the constellation, Leo, the lion. It's also the 21st brightest star in the night sky. Regulus appears to be at the handle of a group of stars forming the lion's head, known as the sickle. which actually does look like a lion's head, even with my limited imagination. Okay, Regulus is located almost perfectly on the ecliptic, which, of course, as you know, is the sun's path around the celestial sphere. In fact, Regulus is the closest to the ecliptic of the 100 brightest stars in the sky. Because of its position, Regulus is often occulted by the moon and sometimes by the planets Mercury and Venus. The last occultation of Regulus by a planet was in July 9th, 1959. I was in knee pants by then. I didn't have the benefit of Skynet to tell me to look for it, so I missed it. But the next one will be in October 1st, 2044, also by Venus. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think I've got, I'm booked up for that night. Maybe I'll cancel it, I don't know. Okay, the sun makes its closest approach to Regulus around the 23rd of August each year. Okay, the rising of Regulus, that is when it first emerges from the sun's glare, and the morning twilight occurs on the first week of September. So right now, it's very, very visible. In fact, like I said, at the Texas Star Party, it's one of my old friends. I can spot it in a microsecond. The Cancer, on the other hand, the crab, I have to look at it for 30 minutes, and then I still may not see it. So let's talk about the name and mythology. The proper name for Regulus was given to Leo by Copernicus. You all know who he is. If you don't know who Copernicus is, you're in the wrong net. Regulus is Latin for prince, like regal. You know, our English words like regal are derived from that. Regent. Okay. Tyrannosaurus Rex. They're all based on that. In fact, the Greek form of this name is Basilicus. And, you know, that area in Rome and the Vatican is called the Basilicus, where the king or something was, I don't know. But that's also used as a name for Regulus, Basilicus. The star was both known as the lion's heart and the kingly star to the ancient Babylonians. It was also known much earlier to the Mesopotamians, and the Arabs and the Chinese also had their names for Regulus. So it wasn't something that we just saw last week. As far as properties go, Regulus is 77.5 light years from Earth. It's a main sequence star like the Sun, and is fueled by the internal fusion of hydrogen into helium. And if it weren't, it would be not a main sequence star. So Regulus is a blue-white star of spectral class B, the Sun's spectral class G. So it's a lot hotter, has a surface temperature of about 12,000 K. It's twice as hot as the Sun. Okay, visually, Regulus is about 140 times more luminous than the Sun, climbing to 240 times more luminous if you consider its ultraviolet radiation. Because, again, it's a white star, and most of its radiation is in the ultraviolet. Regulus is 3.5 times larger than the Sun, and it based on its temperature and luminosity and angular distance and all this stuff, it contains about 3.5 times the Sun's mass. Okay, another cool thing, Regulus spins extremely rapidly, with rotation period of only about 16 hours. This causes it to have a high oblate shape, which is kind of like a squashed egg. It's about 32% greater at its equator than between its poles. This results in the so-called gravity darkening of the photosphere at Regulus's poles, which are considerably hotter, or about 5 times greater in surface area than its equatorial region. If Regulus were to rotate only 16% faster, the centripetal forces would overcome gravity and the star would tear itself apart. Is that cool or what? Okay, Okay, I'm going to sum up this really quick. Regulus was long thought to be only about 50 to 100 million years old. That's a blink of an eye, astronomical time. But it was recently discovered there was a white dwarf companion that implies that the system is at least 1 billion years old. And this discrepancy can be counted because of the transfer from a once smaller Regulus A into this particular companion that it has. Regulus is a multiple star system and has a pair of small faint companions called Leo Beta and Gamma, and they're on eighth magnitude and are easily seen in binoculars. So, to sum this up, as Miss Carolyn would say, bless her heart, and she's listening to us now, I know she is. Take a look around. You will enjoy it. It's KG5P.
Thank you, Mike, and thanks for doing this segment. Yeah, we lost Miss Carolyn 1 year ago this week, and I certainly miss her. And if anybody's interested, there's a number of her net presentations that are available over on where the heck is it? Hold on, I'll think of it. Archive.org. They're there. So maybe one of these days we'll just run one. You can find, for folks who don't know who she is and her presentations, she did them weekly for 7 years. So you get a chance to find out. Thanks, Mike. Do appreciate it. Let's see here. Where are we at? Space launches for the week. I'm only going to name a couple of these. Some of these you've heard before. One was mentioned earlier, May 16th, the Atlas V USSF-7 OTV-6 launch. That was mentioned earlier by Miss Brenda. This is the space plane that the Air Force has. It'll be launched from SLC-41, Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. That's right across from Kennedy Space Center. United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket will launch the USSF-7, a mission formerly known as AFS-PC-7 for the U.S. Space Force. Yes, it exists. The mission's primary payload for the X-37B space plane, also called the Orbital Test Vehicle, or OTV, on the program's sixth mission. The rocket will fly in the 501 vehicle configuration with a 5-meter fairing, no solid rocket boosters, and a single-engine Centaur upper stage. Now, we also mentioned the Starlink Constellation, May 17th. Falcon 9 will launch Starlink 7. This will be from SLC-40 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, Florida. The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket is expected to launch the 8th batch of approximately 60 satellites for SpaceX Starlink broadband network, a mission designated Starlink 7. I'll list this one and then I'll stop. In May, it's to be determined. Launcher 1 is a launch demo. We don't have a date for it yet, but a repurposed Boeing 747 that was used by Virgin Atlantic, Cosmic Girl, will launch or lift off from Mojave Air and Spaceport in California. The Virgin Orbit Launcher 1 rocket will make its first orbital test flight after dropping from a modified Boeing 747 carrier aircraft over the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California. So this has been delayed for about a year, but eventually it'll go. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to skip the other ones. Most of these I have read before. Those are new. So I'm going to go to Miss Brenda. Rush back to your microphone, Miss Brenda, WB50ZL. You have another presentation for recent astronomical discoveries. So please go ahead. The net is yours from KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. This article is entitled, Telescopes and Spacecraft Join Forces to Probe Deep into Jupiter's Atmosphere. Jupiter's one of my favorite things. I bet it is yours, too. NASA's Hubble Space Telescope and the ground-based Gemini Observatory in Hawaii have teamed up with the Juno spacecraft to probe the mightiest storms in the solar system, taking place more than 500 million miles away on the giant planet Jupiter. A team of researchers led by Michael Wong at the University of California, Berkeley, and including Amy, well, names. We want to know how Jupiter's atmosphere works, said Wong. Jupiter's constant storms are gigantic compared to those on Earth, with thunderheads reaching 40 miles from base to top, 5 times that of the typical thunderheads on Earth, and powerful lightning flashes up to 3 times more energetic than Earth's largest superbolts. While lightning on Earth, Jupiter's lightning bolts act like radio transmitters, sending out radio waves as well as visible light when they flash across the sky. Every 53 days, Juno races low over the storm systems, detecting radio signals known as spherics, that's S-F-E-R-I-C-S, and whistlers, which can then be used to map lightning even on the day side of the planet, or from deep clouds where flashes are not otherwise visible. Coinciding with each pass, Hubble and Gemini watch from afar, capturing high-resolution global views of the planet that are key to interpreting Juno's close-up observations. Juno's microwave radiometer probes deep into the planet's atmosphere by detecting high-frequency radio waves that can penetrate through thick cloud layers. The data from Hubble and Gemini can tell us how thick the clouds are and how deep we are seeing into the clouds, Simon explained. By mapping lightning flashes detected by Juno onto optical images captured of the planet by Hubble and thermal infrared images captured at the same time by Gemini, the research team has been able to show that lightning outbreaks are associated with a 3-way combination of cloud structures, deep clouds made of water, large convective towers caused by upswelling of moist air, usually Jovian thunderheads, and clear regions presumably caused by downwelling of drier air outside the convective towers. The Hubble data show that the height of the thick clouds in the convective towers, as well as the depth of deep water clouds, the Gemini data clearly reveal the clearings in the high-level clouds where it is possible to get a glimpse down into the deep water clouds. Wong thinks that lightning is common in a type of turbulent area known as folded filamentary regions, which suggests a moist convection is occurring in them. These cyclonic vortices could be internal energy smokestacks, helping release internal energy through convection, he said. It doesn't happen everywhere, but something about these cyclones seems to facilitate convection. The ability to correlate lightning with deep water clouds also gives researchers another tool for estimating the amount of water in Jupiter's atmosphere, which is important for understanding how Jupiter and the other gas ice giants formed, and therefore how the solar system as a whole formed. While much has been gleaned about Jupiter from previous space missions, many of the details, including how much water is in the deep atmosphere, exactly how heat flows from the interior, and what causes certain colors and patterns in the clouds, remain a mystery. The combined result provides insight into the dynamics and three-dimensional structure of the atmosphere. This is a really long article, so I'm going to stop there, but you can find it at sciencdaily.com if you want to go and read the whole thing. Back to net. This is WB5OZL.
All right, well, thank you, Miss Brenda. And this is KE5ICX Net Control this evening for tonight's Skynet. I'll go ahead and take additional check-in. Wow, Echolink's busy. Go ahead and take additional check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come now with your call sign name, where you're transmitting from.
Kilo India 5, India Sierra India, Eric Richardson.
All right, I got one more out of that. I got KI5ISI, that's Eric and Richardson. Oh, what a wonderful call sign in Morse code. Eric, if you're going to do Morse code, I recommend a different call. Okay, let's see here. What do we got? We got about 10 minutes left. Let me see what we can do. We have visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, and this is from Heavens Above, which is the website. So let me go ahead and do that. We'll do a couple of things. Now, over the last few weeks, we've not been able to do much of anything, mainly because the way reflection here down into Texas has been pretty terrible. So we haven't been able to really give any satellite passages at all, or passes at all. Last week, in fact, there were none that I could really give that were of any real interest. But the easiest object to see is, of course, the International Space Station, and this one has come roaring back as far as reflection. We'll be able to see it. We have several passes, one on May 14th at minus 1.6 magnitude at 5:30 a.m. Let me check my date here, make sure we're okay. May 14th, minus 1.6 magnitude at 5:30 a.m. Out of the north-northwest, reaches its highest point. Oh, let me reset that. Actually, minus 3.7 magnitude. There are two passes, one in the morning and one in the evening. The one in the evening is the one I wanted to feature. That's at 22:09 local time. Out of the southwest, reaches its highest point at 22:13 at 75 degrees out of the northwest, and then falls into shadow at 65 degrees north. Let's see. We also have May 15th. May 15th is another good one. That also has two passes, one in the morning at 4:42, and then one in the evening, the featured one at 21:21. Hey, surprise, it's about the same time, a little later. Out of the southwest, it reaches its highest point at 21:25 at 53 degrees, and then it falls at 21:28 at 10 degrees. So that's a full pass. That one's a good one. May 16th, once again, has two passes. This one is in the morning, 3:55 a.m. The featured pass is minus 3.9 magnitude at 5:30 p.m. Now, this one, oh, I'm sorry, 5:30 a.m., 90 minutes later. So this one's in the a.m., that makes sense. Out of 10 degrees in the northwest, it reaches the highest point at 77 degrees at 5:34 a.m., and then it passes at 5:37 at 10 degrees. So that's a full pass in the a.m. And let's see, May 15th, did I do that one? I did. Okay, all of these are available if you go to Heavens Above. That's heavens with a dash above.com. You get the information there. They continue to add new features to the website, 3D imaging showing where the International Space Station is, as well as some other cool things. They do attempt to articulate the Starlink stuff, but that's proving to be a problem because there's so many of them that it's very difficult to use their algorithm to produce, or their Keplers to produce the data on their website. But still, go to the website. In fact, I'm going to make that a feature one of these evenings when I'm net control, talking about everything on Heavens Above. It's expanded vastly over the last couple of years, and you can also donate to them, but it's free for your use. All right, I'm going to end it now so that we can go ahead and start at 10:30 or thereabouts. So are there any additional check-ins or any questions? If there's a question, just give me a recheck. This is KE5ICX. Additional check-ins, please come down. All right, hearing none, not too bad. We had 31 check-ins this evening, including myself. I want to thank everybody who did. And let's see. Thank you for all who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all the DARC nets. Trust me, we will fit you in. It's actually a lot of fun. If you'd like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets, N-E-T-S, at w5fc.org or whiskey5friedchicken.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video feeds. Truly, check them out. They're there. You get to see all the video stuff. All of the star charts and vehicles and everything. I know it sounds like a bunch of numbers, but you can actually see all this stuff and what it looks like and how it is disseminated in the sky and on the ground by going to the video archives. There are also other useful internet sources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie X-Ray. My name's Tom, and I'll be closing the net at 22:26 local time and returning the repeater for normal amateur use for the next 4 minutes. We will see you in 4 minutes, and we will be talking, we'll be doing the Afterglow movie net, which is a movie called The Cosmic Man from 1957 or 58. I think it's 57. I don't know. I was born in 58, so I didn't see it if it was in 57. Probably didn't see it if it was 58. We'll see you then. Come back in... I don't know. Well, we're down to about 3 minutes. So, no, come back in 5 minutes. 5 minutes and we'll start. See you then. This is KE5ICX. I'm clear.
Wonderful net tonight, Tom. KG5P.
Thank you, Mike. I actually thought it was pretty fun. You never know what's going to happen in the nest, but golly, we've been doing this for 8 years, and it just keeps going. I'm really thrilled. I love it, and we get great participation in a lot of check-ins, which I'm cool with. All right, I'm going to take a little break, powder my nose, and I'll be back in 5. See you then. KE5ICX.
Normal state.
I'm completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow movie net.
Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the afterglow net? This is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. My name is Brenda, and I'll be your net control this evening for the Afterglow net. A net we do every Saturday night at about 10:30 after the Skynet net is over, in which every week we pick a different movie to discuss. Pretty much it's always a science fiction movie and usually an older one at that, one that is free on YouTube preferably. The movie that was chosen for us tonight, and I think it's a state secret as to who chose it, was not me. It's called The Cosmic Man. And this is the synopsis that Tom wrote about it. Klaatu looked at the Cosmic Man and shook his head. You turned right when I told you to turn left. That left us with an uncontrolled crash landing on Earth. Klaatu glared disapprovingly but continued, get the We Come in Peace speech. It's in the intergalactic box next to the refueling station 3D galactic map. The Cosmic Man returned with the speech. Klaatu continued, did you memorize the part about you will soon head for the stars? Cosmic Man nodded. Did you remember the part about your destruction is assured if you fail to comply? Cosmic Man nodded. Remember to use your outdoor voice when speaking to the Earthlings. They must know you mean business, otherwise they just shoot you without question. Believe me, I know. Also, Gort is in for his 50 billion mile oil change, so you are on your own. So, this is The Cosmic Man from 1959. Now, in reality, that was tongue-in-cheek. That doesn't have a whole lot to do with this movie. These two movies, The Cosmic Man and The Day the Earth Stood Still, were like separated at birth. They're so closely related. You know, I could tell you this is this movie, The Cosmic Man, where a spaceship comes to Earth and inept, bumbling military tries to destroy it, and inside is an alien. He passes as a scientist because he's creepy enough. Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Scientists are not supposed to be creepy. He goes to a boarding house where a single mom is raising her son who's too smart for his own good. And he makes friends with a boy, and meanwhile the spaceship is still tantalizing the military who want to just blow it up and destroy it, study it, scratch it. And the alien admonishes Earth to give up our warring ways, and then he pretty much leaves. So the Cosmic Man, instead of the handsome and dashing Mike Rennie, has John Carradine, who looks like death on a cracker, and wears these thick glasses. According to one of the posters, it's so that he can, he has hypnotic eyes that see all. It was not in the movie, but it was on the poster. And instead of the charming and graceful Patricia Neal, we get, what's her name, who is a screeching harpy, and then the boy, who is kind of generic. Anyway, when they made The Cosmic Man, I'm pretty sure they were trying to remake The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is a classic and considered by many to be one of the finest 50s science fiction movies made. So they said, well, it worked for them, it'll work for us. It doesn't. It's not a bad movie, but it's not a great movie. It's kind of mediocre, but it's worth watching. The good part about it is it's filmed in Griffith Park, so we like that. All right, we're going to take check-ins, name, call sign, location, and whether or not you saw the movie. Please come now.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo. Bill in Irving. Yes, I saw the movie.
Whiskey 5, call Julie Tango, Steve from Starlink. I have not seen the movie.
Kilo Golf 5 Papa. Mike and Richardson. Yes, indeed. I saw the movie.
Part of the movie, KE5ICX.
I think there might have been a double there, Brenda.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're right. We have N5BB Bill who saw the movie, and the second check-in, I didn't get any of your information, so if you please come back with that.
This is W5 DJC, Whiskey 5, Golf Juliet Tango. Name is Steve. I'm from Charlton. I have not seen the movie.
Well, I got some of that. I think it's W5 Golf Zulu Tango, and I missed a name.
KG5P relay.
Go ahead, KG5P.
I think that was Gene, W5 Golf Juliet Tango. If I got that right. KG5P.
Okay, Gene, please confirm W5 Golf Juliet Tango.
Yes, that is correct. Whiskey 5 Golf Juliet Tango. Name is Steve. Golf Echo November Echo. I have not seen the movie. Back to you. This is 55 Golf Juliet Tango.
Well, I missed most of what you said. Did you see the movie?
Negative. I have not seen the movie. I have not seen the movie.
All right, the next one I have is KG5P Mike, who did see the movie, and then KE5ICX Tom, who saw some of it. Was there someone that doubled with Tom in there?
I think Tom doubled with me, so he got both of us. KG5P.
Very good. Okay, more check-ins, please.
Kilo India 5, India Sierra India, Eric Richardson. Yes, I saw the movie.
Kilo 5 Alpha November Echo, Kane and Richardson. Yes, I saw the movie.
Okay, Eric, I got KI5 and then missed the rest. Would you please repeat that for me?
Kilo India 5, India Sierra, India.
Okay, KI5ISI, Eric. Then we, did you see the movie?
Yes.
Then we have K5ANE, Kane, who did see the movie. Anybody on Echolink out there?
Kilo Golf 5, Papa, November, Ames, Oklahoma. I saw the movie. Kilo Golf 5, Bravo, Zulu. Whiskey J, near Weatherford. I saw the film. Most of it, I think.
Gonna need a fill. The first Echolink, it started KG5, and I missed all the rest of it. Please, would you repeat?
This is Kilo Golf 5, Mike, November, James, Oklahoma. I saw the movie.
Okay, we got KG5PMN James, then KG5BZWJ. Okay, any other check-ins?
Oh, I guess I'll check in. WT9V, Michael, Plano, yes. Mostly. Okay, I've lost interest about a third of the way through.
With Bravo, yes, I saw it.
Here we got WT9V Michael, who saw it, and the next call I need a fill.
Whiskey 5, Echo Bravo, Bravo.
W5EBB, welcome to the net, David. Did you see the movie?
Yes, I saw it. W5EBB.
Very good. Any more check-ins? Alrighty. In case you haven't checked in before, the way this works is we go down the list, and I'm going to go in the order of people checked in. And first we'll discuss the plot. Then next round we'll talk about characterization, and then special effects and anything else you want to talk about. So we'll start at the N5BB. Bill, please tell us what you thought about the plot of this fine film.
Hey, Brenda, the group, this is Inside BB. Well, I actually kind of liked it for a 1950 science fiction film. Alien spacecraft comes to Earth, and the spacecraft is kind of interesting. It is definitely extraterrestrial, but it's pretty simple. Of course, it made it simple for them to make a movie around it, since it's just a sphere, wasn't some complex structure. But it showed a little bit of ingenuity, I think, a little bit, to make it an anti-gravity kind of thing. And then you have the cosmic man come over and visit. And then, and I saw this coming. The moment I saw that the kid was in a wheelchair, I knew what had to happen. He somehow solves Ken's problem with his legs. So in that sense, it was kind of a heartwarming story. Had a little appeal that way. And it appeared that the scientist had a little love interest going on with Angela Green, the woman in the story. By the way, she was a pinup girl for Yank magazine, a World War II military kind of soldiers magazine. This is the clothed pinup girl. And she also met John F. Kennedy, might have dated him during the war. And she passed away at an early age. She was only like 53. Anyway, I liked the story and thought it was okay, actually, as a movie. In fact, BB.
All right, KG5P Mike, tell us what you thought.
Oh, goodness gracious, Brenda. You asked me what I think, I'm going to dump core on you. Okay, well, let me tell you how this net got started. I'm not blowing my own whistle, but I'll take the chance and do it anyway. My first amateur radio contact back in 1960 was on 2 meter AM, which novices could operate on. And I didn't even have my own radio. I had my license, but I didn't even have a radio. So a friend of mine let me borrow his ARC 5. If you know what that is, look it up. If you don't know what it is. And my first contact, we talked about monster movies. And there's something about monster movies that I'm totally fascinated about. I always was. We talk about Frankenstein and I don't know what else. Okay, well, fast forward 50 years. The Skynet had a tail end, is called the afterglow. But we never made it to the afterglow. So I got with Tom, who's a dear friend of mine, one of the best people I know. And Tom and I agreed to start up the Afterglow and talk about science fiction movies. And that's how this got started. Now, it turned out there are far better people than I am to run this net. I tried running it, and the trouble was I could never please anybody. So I kind of gave up on it. Brenda took over. We got Michael, WT9V took over, and recently we had Kane, and they do a far better job than I do, so I'm more than happy just to be a participant. But I wanted to say that for the record. So, that being said, I love this movie. It's schlock, no doubt about it. We had old, what was his name? I'm fading here. Okay. Well, I'll remember it in a minute. This is The Day the Earth Stood Still. This is a great movie, and this movie was just a clone of The Day the Earth Stood Still. John Carradine, that's who I've been thinking of. Okay, John Carradine. John Carradine is as stiff as a cracker, as Brenda mentioned. Now, I saw him on a movie tonight on Svengoolie. And the best movie that John Carradine ever was in this movie with the Munsters where he played their butler. He had a red-haired wig on. But other than that, John Carradine, every role he ever played, he was stiff as a cracker. And he was in this movie, too. He had these Coke bottle glasses and all this stuff. And they had a little kid that had, was in a wheelchair and all that stuff, and he made him walk again. Okay, but that wasn't exactly the same as The Day the Earth Stood Still. The Day the Earth Stood Still was from a book called The Return of the Master, written by Harry Bates. And Gort and Klaatu roles are reversed. Gort in The Day the Earth Stood Still was the robot, I believe. And Klaatu was, maybe it's the other way around, but Klaatu is the Michael Rainey character. But bottom line, I love this movie, and I think we should do more of them. Yeah, they're schlock, there's no doubt about it. But to me, this is the quintessence of movies that I like. I did. Growing up in the 50s, this flying saucer stuff, it was great stuff. I love it, every bit of it. And we should do more of these. Back to net, KG5P.
Okay, I skipped off of W5GZT. Gene, I'm sorry. You didn't see the movie, but you can certainly comment comments if you would like.
This is 65 Golf Julius Tango. 65 Golf Julius Tango. I have not seen the movie. I've seen good one. Don't have anything. I'll be listening and learning. Thank you. 65 Golf Julius
Okay, next up, KE5ICX Tom. Go ahead. You can fake it.
All right, thank you, Brenda. Well, I'll do an advertisement instead, but I did see part of the movie. I saw about 30 minutes in, and then I got a phone call from my mother. My mother says she loved the flowers I sent early for Mother's Day, and so we spent the next hour talking on the phone. And you don't hang up on your mother and say you're watching a third-rate movie. That doesn't click. So she was very happy with the flowers, but I did watch in the background part of the film, and no, I did not make a special effort to go and watch the film. Not on a beautiful day like this. I was outside and enjoying the weather. So what do I have to say about the movie? Let me reset. It's pretty easy to understand that this is a knockoff from Day the Earth Stood Still. No doubt about it. That is definitely what we saw. And the story kind of closely, follows behind that and is rather predictable. I thought overall, though, it wasn't bad from what I could see. The John Carradine thing was a bit weird. John Carradine is patriarch of the Carradine family, who has movie actors that have been a part of it. Carradine's been in a number of different things and done a good job. I guess I can do that on the next round. But this was not one of them, from what I could tell, with the glasses and everything else. Let's see, what can I say? That it looked fairly good for a low-budget independent film. It seemed to be wanting to go somewhere, but it was very predictable in the end. I don't know. I can't really tell you much beyond that. The glasses thing was, okay, I guess. I don't know. That's all I can say, I guess, because I didn't see enough of it to really get excited to go and rewatch it today. I'm sorry, I'm terrible, but I can talk about the music and maybe the special effects later. This is KE5ICX, back to net.
Okay, KI5ISI. Eric, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I actually enjoyed this movie much more so than last week's totally different type of film, right? But I enjoyed it quite a bit. You know, as everybody talks about, you know, cloning, you know, the day the Earth stood still and what have you. But I didn't go there right away. I just tried to enjoy the film. I thought it did a good job of. I thought there was a little bit of social commentary in there that, you know, it was trying to say something, and I kind of enjoyed those moments. There was some, you know, Mystery Science Theater 3000 moments as well, like when they first approach the boy in the car, and they're like, oh, maybe you can play football later, and, you know, they look at the wheelchair in the back. I could see little Tom Servo going, awkward. I'll reset. A couple of my favorite parts was when they were messing with the saucer, and the guy was like, I don't know everything, but that's why I'm using only 12 volts. I thought that was funny, and, you know, the kind of the whole theme of the movie for me, along with the heartwarming story of the child healing, was there was a quote in there, you search for the truth in a world that fears the truth. That seems very Mulder, X-Files, you know, that kind of weight to it. So I enjoyed the film. I'm glad I watched it. Back to net control, KI5ISI.
Very good. K5ANE. Kane, go ahead.
This was, once again, pretty standard early sci-fi, early modern sci-fi. It has a lot of aspirations to tell a story of these aliens that come down to try and judge us and make us a better people. It's, you know, as others mentioned, it's really the day the Earth stood still with some other kind of slight twists to it. But otherwise, it was a pretty good 1950s sci-fi, if that's what you like, and it does a good job, like having its plot just continue flowing and things like that. It doesn't get hung up too much on certain spots, and, you know, it doesn't leave a lot of things, you know, tons of loose ends, I guess, except for, you know, who are they, what, you know, where do they really come from, and things like that. Overall, though, there are lots of things that were very obvious as to what was going to happen. None of this is a surprise from being somebody that watches tons of sci-fi movies, but I'm sure if I had seen this in 1959, it would have been an awesome, great movie with cutting-edge kind of effects and things like that. Although this is an indie film, so it's not top of the line exactly. I'll reset. In the end, it does leave a lot of the actual science untold. You know, it doesn't really tell you what, like how this craft worked. It doesn't really tell you, you know, how this being really existed or anything like that. It just kind of leaves all those open and leaves you wondering those political questions that it has about, you know, is our all of our frustrations with each other here on Earth really just petty little things that we need to kind of get over to participate in intergalactic politics? Who knows? That's about it for me for the plot. This is K5ANE, back to net control.
All right, KG5PMN. James, I think your name is. I can't read my writing. Please go ahead.
Kilo Golf 5, Papa Mike, November, James, Oklahoma. I thought the movie was fairly straightforward. I enjoyed it. Didn't have a bunch of jumping around, confusing scenes in it where you couldn't figure out where everybody was. It was just a fairly simple set that they operated on. Just liked it. It had an easy flowing, like the first operator was saying, just kind of flowed on through where the spaceship came to Earth, and then they tried to figure out how to get into the ball and couldn't do it, and wanted to figure out how they operated, and as usual with most of the military in there, the military was trying to put a heavy hand on everything and ram their way through it, and it ultimately didn't happen at the end. Back to the net, KG5 PM.
Okay, KG5BZW. Jay, go ahead.
KG5BZW. Well, it's hard to discuss a lot for me because I have to admit, it was kind of, once it kind of got started, it seemed to, I recognize photos with the, I forgot the movie that is, whatever, it was already mentioned in the movie, in the, whatever you mentioned earlier, or, I don't know, it was, let's just put it this way, it was kind of interesting, but I have to admit, I was sleepy last night, and I think I missed a few scenes, because, I remember he's kind of vague black, not really black clad, but just kind of vaguely black false figure, kind of moving around, and this is a way to correct your problem, and just go on diagrams, and it's like, okay, I guess this is going to be that kind of thing. And I like the investigation of the spacecraft. I don't know, the final scene where they shine a light on him and he just kind of, I don't know, disappears, but they realize that the kid, and like I said, I think I slept a little bit towards the very end, so it was just kind of, I don't know, 8 p.m. last night was just not the time to watch this film. Don't hate the film, that's for sure. It was just because it paralleled that other film. It was kind of predictable, and I kind of lost my investment in it, so I don't think it was too bad for 1950s or whatever. So, thought about it. I don't know. I watched most of it. I don't know. I just watched all of it, or maybe I did watch it and it just didn't click with me because it was the last bits are kind of confusing to me. I should have looked at the plot before I did this film review. On like Wikipedia or whatever. But anyway, now I'm in ramble mode. So I'll hand it over to one, the next person, and that's this KG5BZW.
Okay, WT9V, Michael, speak to us.
Sorry, hold on. Sneezing fit. Okay. I'm better. I still don't have my notes up because I've been busy doing other things. So, hold on again. Those are not the notes that I took last night. Where did the notes go? Okay, fine. I'll wing it. Be that way. Files on my computer. The premise of the movie was pretty interesting. It was an interesting idea, you know. Alien comes from outer space, plunders the Earth's resources, the things we don't know that we have and probably don't care about. I don't know. Maybe I missed something there. Saves a boy that can't walk and goes back home. So that was pretty good. The acting for me was not good. I really only liked one character, and that was the bright little kid that knew way too much science. The rest of them, it didn't flow well for me. I've seen a lot better. So I just kind of felt like, nah. It didn't hold my interest. I didn't really care about the characters. I didn't care about stuff. So the plot was interesting. It was an interesting premise. I just don't think it was supported by the actors. WT9V.
Okay, W5EBB. David, go ahead.
Well, I think this plot might have been the genesis of some ideas of better written treatments of this sort of issue, maybe in Star Trek, the original series. You know, the themes of military versus science, and you know, what do we do with the technology? Do we exploit it for benevolent purposes or for malevolent purposes? And you know, who takes responsibility for it, and who basically owns the technology? You know, those are questions explored better in other movies. They're touched upon here, but they're not really developed. And in the end, we just sort of have a schlock film. You know, it probably did fine in the theaters, but you know, it had some hints of potential, you know, really insightful kind of themes, but they didn't really explore it, I didn't think. But the characters and some of the technical topics were kind of issue, and were interesting, and we can talk about that later. W5EBB.
Okay, do we have any additional check-ins? Okay, well, it's my turn. This is such a common theme in old science fiction movies. Apparently in the 50s, they didn't think that the human race had much of a future. We were going to destroy ourselves. So a common idea was the aliens will come and save us. They will make us behave, and we'll be more like them. I frankly think that if we do encounter life from other planets, I think there's a good chance they're going to be as violent as we are. That's how evolution works. The fittest survives, and very often that means the most violent and the most warlike and ruthless. I mean, it's sad to say, but that's just nature. Virtually every creature on Earth dies by being eaten by another creature. That's just the way it's put together. So, you know, to me that's kind of a worn-out theme now. I mean, it has been done better in some other movies. They kind of hit you in the face with it. Now, have you ever seen a science fiction movie where the spaceship comes to Earth and lands, and we actually figured out, generally we can't even figure out how to get into it, much less how it works. It's just kind of a stupid idea. We really ought to back away and not mess with it. Instead, we got to go and scrape on it and poke on it, and because we're going to figure it out. It's like, that is so unlikely that we are going to discover the secrets of this alien spacecraft. But I liked the movie in general. It was a nice little popcorn show. It wasn't offensive or overly stupid, and I thought it was okay for the day. Obviously, they didn't spend much money on it, but, you get what you get. What I did like was the scenes from Griffith Park, the Griffith Observatory, and the hills, and that cave, Bronson's Cave. That was also the Bat Cave in Batman, and we saw it, and we have seen it in several other movies, like the brain from Planet Arrows and Robot Monster. It's been used in millions of movies. The scene was also shot in a local hotel lobby, so they had a strict budget, apparently. I don't know what they had to do to get John Carradine. Maybe he just needed work. I don't know. Definitely was not the best thing about this film. All right, let's go back to the top. We're going to talk about characterization. N5BB. Bill, go ahead.
This is N5BB. Well, you had the young mother with a handicapped kid, kind of a standard thing you saw in a number of movies back there. Remember, this came out in 1959, and the U.S. was just kind of getting over the polio epidemic. So earlier in the 50s, I think around 53, was the peak of polio. And so that's the first thing I thought about when I saw the wheelchair was polio, because there were so many kids that were, I mean, I've got several friends that had polio back then. And I had a friend in elementary school who had polio later in the 50s. So the characterizations, the kid was actually pretty good. He was interested in science. He knew some things. Kind of a smart kid. He was very willing to work with the cosmic man, and he got an advantage from it because he got his legs healed. His mom was mom. She was kind of she was a business lady. She ran the lodge. She was a widow, and her husband had died in the Korean War, and so she came out pretty good in all this, and she was kind of getting kind of some interest in the scientist guy. The scientist guy was just like a lot of the other movies, he was against the military people. Military people were going to shoot up the aliens, and he was going to cooperate with the aliens. So that was a standard characterization thing from 50s science fiction movies, and many others. What else? The military guys did, one or two of the lower level ones were goofy. If you notice, they were being told what to do, and they couldn't really follow through. They were kind of confused. The guy that was supposed to keep people away from the spacecraft was. So they characterized him, and he did a good job playing a goofy Army recruit that didn't know what he was doing. The colonel and the general did. I mean, they were stereotypes, and they played those okay, I guess. The characters weren't very deep. You learned nothing about them. The only character you really learned very much about was the mother. You learned things about her history and what she did and what she thought about people and everything. Everybody else, the characterizations were kind of thin. It wasn't that kind of movie. It wasn't long enough. There just wasn't time to do that low-budget movie. The alien, you actually, the Cosmic Man, you do learn a little bit about him. Not a lot, though. You don't learn very much about what he did. He gave that little speech about the other worlds and people that were visiting and everything. And you learned about him when he was talking to the kid, dealing with him doing chess and everything. Anyway, there were some characterizations, and it wasn't a movie devoid of those kinds of things. It just was kind of a low-budget film. That's my belief. Cheap props, low budget, not very long, not enough time to do heavy characterization. Inside BB.
Okay, W5 GZT. Gene, do you have anything to say? Nothing heard. KG5P Mike, tell us about the characterization.
Well, okay, thank you, Brenda. Well, the characterization was pretty weak, but that's okay. I can deal with that. Like the Cosmic Man, which is the Klaatu knockoff from the day the Earth was still, was old John Carradine, and he was just, as you mentioned earlier, he was as stiff as a cracker. It's John Carradine. He never did anything else except act that same role. Now, this movie was about an hour and 15 minutes, which is about typical for those kind of movies. Yeah, that's about the right time limit. A little bit more than a TV show. Less commercials. Now, you mentioned about Griffith Park. That was kind of interesting. Griffith Park, in case you don't know, is where it's an observatory in the hills of Los Angeles. I think it's what they call the Hayden Planetarium. And it's there, and a lot of movies are filmed there. Like, for instance, the Rebel Without a Cause with Salminio was filmed there. Okay, and then the cave. Now that's another interesting thing. That was in what's called the Alabama Hills, which is just east of Mount Whitney, which is the highest mountain peak in the United States. Now, I climbed Mount Whitney when I was about 24 years old, 23, something like that, maybe 23. It's not a bad climb, but it's just a long climb. And actually, we spent the night on the top. There's a little shed, a little shack built by the Work Progress Administration of the Depression era. And there's a whole bunch of us that we just spent the night in the shack. But if you look over to the east about 50 miles, there's the Alabama Hills, which are a weathered, it's an older mountain range in the Sierras, and they're pretty much weathered. But it's close enough to Los Angeles. That's where all those cowboy movies were filmed. When they were filmed on location. The cowboy movies of the 40s and 50s. And that's where this movie was also filmed. The cave was in the Alabama Hills. But I love this movie. I think we should see more of them. I can give you another movie we did was Kronos, which we've done this before years ago. It might have been the second movie we did on Skynet, but I think we should do that again. Tom, take a note. KG5P, back to net.
Okay, KE5ICX, you're up.
Well, thank you, Miss Brenda. This is KE5ICX. Mom loved the flowers. Actually, it was a flower. I think it was a lily. Something like that. She liked it. It cost me $100. I'm not doing that again. But she loved it, so I'll probably do it again. Let's see. Let's see. John Carradine, not too bad. I mean, you know, he's playing the character that he was told to play. And it was somewhat limited in scope. I've seen Carradine in other stuff. One of the things that I really enjoyed him in was actually War of the Planets. You don't know what that is because you've never heard of it before. He played a blue alien. Yes, a blue alien, not an unhappy alien, but a blue alien with blue makeup in Lost in Space in the third season. So, yeah, he's the Carradine patriarch guy. I don't know. I guess he was okay in this. It's kind of weird how that all worked out. I'm sure there was some sort of confluence with that, with the glasses and everything. I don't know what it is. I didn't research it this time, but because I had the net tonight for Skynet, so I didn't spend a lot of time working on it. But in any case, I don't know. I can't say a lot about the movie. It was very pedestrian. The acting was very pedestrian. The way people acted and reacted was pretty expected. So I guess I'm not going to go further with this because I don't know. I was somewhat disengaged. Mom loved her flowers though. KE5ICX.
Yes, we moms love to get flowers. I got flowers for my birthday last year from my son, and they were just wonderful. You know, I still remember. We always remember that. We moms are sentimental. All right, KI5ISI, Eric, characters.
Hello there. Yes, I think there were characters. They were all pretty typecast, right? Like, you know, somebody had mentioned, you know, this kind of coming off of polio, and, you know, it wasn't atypical for, you know, children to, you know, the widowed mom, wartime, all of that stuff. But I liked the kid. I thought, you know, kind of going with a social commentary theme, I thought the movie was trying, and it worked for me anyway. I thought the movie was trying to point out, you know, those that are, you know, smart and kind and, you know, thoughtful are, you know, that's the winners in kind of this utopian thing that the alien guy was talking about. So I thought that was, you know, I thought that was neat that he, you know, befriended him in his innocence, and you know, it kind of broke the super typecast mold a bit. Reset. I also like the mom, the Angela Green, I think her name was. Probably got into, the most of like her background and character exposition, if you will, more than any of the other characters. I thought she was really pretty, and I thought she was really quite smart and thoughtful. In quite a contrast to, other than the love interest scientist guy, in contrast to the, kind of bumbling and aggressive military types. So pretty much everybody else typecast, they did what they needed to do, and that's about all I got on characters. Back to net control, KI5ISI.
Okay, K5ANE. Kane, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree with most of the sentiments so far about the characters. A lot of them were pretty flat, which I'm not too read up on 1950s actors, but none of them really stood out to me as far as in the cast list. The only one that really had, any kind of real depth would definitely be the lead civilian scientist guy. He was definitely the most fleshed out character of them all, and Sorensen was his name, and the rest of them were just, very, typical, we're the military generals, you think we're dumb, but we're really smart. Oh, look, there's an alien, let's shoot it. Bang, bang, bang. Oh, bullets aren't doing anything. Oh, no, out of ideas. But, in the end, it's a very, very typical kind of 1950s sci-fi kind of cast. So, not the best of characters out there, and it's definitely not a character drama kind of movie. It's more of the whole politics of society itself coming in to deal with an alien that arrived. This is K5ANE, back to net control.
All right, KG5PMN, James.
KG5PMN. I don't know what else to say about the characters other than what's already been said. Kind of like the lead scientist and the colonel. They butted heads quite a bit, and as primary characters, pretty much guess that the McMahon, when he showed up and talked to the lady, that was probably him after when he wasn't in his shadow form. Kind of like the shadow form also. I thought they did a fairly good job with it, personally. The only other character that was kind of irritating to me was when he first started poking around in shadow form, and then they had the sheriff and that crazy music with the sirens going off in the town. It was kind of irritating to me, but other than that, I don't have much else to say about the characters. Back to the net, KG5PMN.
Alrighty, Deputy 9V Michael.
I found my file. It was hiding under, believe it or not, the original. Since most people, or at least some people, talk about anything except the movie, I'll talk about anything except this movie, because I don't really have anything else to say. I found the file with my notes for this movie hiding underneath the file, and by underneath I mean the other one scrolled by first, and I got slightly confused because it's late. But it was the script for my very first Afterglow net, which was interesting. And then I looked at the date, and I went, I've been doing this for that long. September 28th, my very first Afterglow net. I liked the kid. The rest of them I thought were boring. I mean, his acting was great. He even managed to recover the use of his legs. Deputy 9V.
Okay, W5EBB David, go ahead.
Well, I now know that John Carradine, as the Cosmic Man, was the model for the toy X-ray glasses sold by so many magic and novelty shops in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Sort of the glowing sort of big eye with that particular shape. It was taken directly from this movie, I'm convinced. Now, Dr. Sorensen's talk about anti-gravity was interesting. You know, he in one afternoon he dispels the notion of gravity by itself and comes up with some force he denoted S that is like a pressure or a push force, and on a spacecraft you could direct a shield that you could move around. You could cause a ship to move in whatever resultant vector that came about, and I guess he called it anti-gravity. Let me reset. Which, you know, it makes perfect sense to the unreasonable mind, since magnetism has plus and minus poles, electricity has plus and minus charge, so why shouldn't gravity, too, a fundamental force, have some counteracting force? If not anti-gravity, then some balancing counteractive force to, I don't know, allow a dynamic gravity-based model to achieve a stable equilibrium. Colonel Matthews, I guess he was the guy who got in the most arguments with Dr. Sorensen. They had one argument where, you know, the civil alert sirens were going off and the community was on edge, and Colonel Matthews is saying, you know, we've got to do something, we're going to find this, and Dr. Sorensen challenges him and says, well, how do you know it's from the spaceship or something from it? And he said, I don't know, that's why I need proof. Which is kind of a logical conundrum. If something isn't there, if there's no evidence, then you can't really prove it was the thing that did it. Or what's the phrase? Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So it's kind of a logical conundrum there, but I thought that was kind of interesting in the plot there. But the characters were adequate, and you know, John Carradine kind of played his sort of Dracula / Darth Vader kind of role pretty dryly, but bluntly and adequately, I thought. W5EBB.
Thank you. Well, one of the things that bothered me is the alien never told anybody where he was from or what his name was or anything about himself. We're not really sure whether he was human or not. He just looks human. It would be interesting. I think it would have fleshed out the movie if he had maybe told the kid all about where he was from and what he was doing, but he didn't. One of my favorite scenes is where the kid is using a slide rule, and I'll be happy to explain that to all you youngsters. In the late 50s, that was a pretty big deal, slide rule. And even into the 60s, all the cool kids wore slide rules on their belts. And, you know, that was the mark of the geek. The kid didn't just have his legs healed. His mother mentioned early on that he was terminally ill, but she never said why or how, what was wrong with him. But she said, you know, he might have months or maybe a year, and then, you know, she said he worked so hard and he's not going to live to see all, you know, never going to get to do all the things he wants to do. So, you know, the alien healed him. We don't know what was wrong with him, particularly. I know that there was still, by 59, polio had pretty much been defeated, but we all knew kids that wore braces because they had polio when they were little. The alien, if he could heal this kid, why couldn't he heal his eyes? Why does he have these glasses? To me, that was kind of inconsistent. The characters in general, a lot of them were pretty flat and just, you know, formula people. And so, but you know, they were making a formula movie, so there wasn't a whole lot of room for creativity here. All right, any more check-ins?
KG5 BZW, recheck.
KG5 BZW, go ahead, Jay.
Well, I didn't really have much to say this round. I will say this is probably going to be my last. Characters, I actually just did look at the wiki for the plot, and it was honestly that didn't. It was as confusing as I kind of remember it being. So, yeah, there just wasn't that much plot to develop the characters, and all you have to do is the characters to, you know, the science figure, the lady, the mother, and the kid, basically, and the military. Let's just call them all, group them all under one character, I guess. And there wasn't really much to say about them. It's really hard to say. They really could have developed this film a lot better. But I guess, you know, given the time constraints, this is kind of what the type of, you know, like 80-minute film, wasn't even 80 minutes. Just not a lot of room to develop any plot, so, or character, you know, develop the character through the plot. So, yeah, it just, you know, not much to say there. I wanted to say something else that was probably going to be my last, but I really can't say it. It's like the special effects. I mean, the whole character when he was semi-corporeal, I don't know what to call it. I thought that was okay. I like the sphere, and the lights. You know, moving characters or whatever. That was okay. But that's. I guess that's pretty much it. That's all I got to say. So I know y'all got one more round, but I'll end it for now. I'll be listening for you. Next movie. This is KG5 BZW.
Alrighty then. Did somebody double with me?
That's KG5P? No, not that I've heard.
Alright. Yeah, I just had a thought about why we have so many of these kind of movies. Don't we all have that fantasy that we would be the one to make the first encounter with the aliens? And it would be pretty interesting. Maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. But I think about that sometimes. Okay, any more check-ins?
WT9V. Not a check-in, but it's just you, Brenda. We've seen Mars attacks. WT9V.
KG5P, comment.
KG5P, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. The reason I love these movies is a throwback to my childhood. I can suspend disbelief and go back to when I was 10 years old again. That's why I love them. KG5P.
Okay, let's go back to the top and talk about special effects. N5BB, Bill.
This is N5BB. Well, to tell you the truth, it was, of course, simple. And didn't see it from a lot of angles, but the alien spacecraft sphere being suspended there, I'm sure they did something very simple, like just put a mount right behind it, but it worked pretty good. It looked very realistic. You saw them moving around underneath it, and certainly looked realistic to me. It looked like it was sitting there floating and not moving around. The interesting view of them with the sack around it and trying to pull it with the hoist, the crane. I think I can view that as a special effect. I think that was kind of cool. So if I remember correctly, the way they shot it is they shot the picture of the wheelchair wheel, and then they broke to the picture of the spinning wheel of the crane trying to pull the sphere. It couldn't do it, couldn't move it. So I thought that was kind of cool cinematography effect. Maybe not special effect. The makeup for John Carradine wasn't very special. It was a simple form of the Invisible Man or something. At night, the image of John Carradine, the Cosmic Man, with as this fuzzy kind of figure. I don't know. I guess it worked. They purposely wanted to make it where it wasn't easy to see. I think that was probably his true form, and he dressed up in that other form to visit the kid. One other thing, in case we don't have another round, just want to point out that the Cosmic Man is an Jungian theory, and a lot of other religious theory. It's like the creator of the universe. And I'm going to read this from Wikipedia. Generally, he is described as helpful or positive and serves as a seed for the creation of the world. He also represents the oneness of human existence or the universe. So if you look up the Cosmic Man kind of legends, I think that's where they got the title of the movie from. So it's a little bit deeper than you think it is. Go look up Cosmic Man. Inside BB. That's all I got.
Okay. W5GZT, are you there? Do you have anything to say? Guess he's gone. KG5P, Mike, talk about special effects.
Okay. Thank you, Brenda. Well, I don't really have much to say about special effects, and the special effects in these movies are nothing spectacular, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, The Twilight Zone, one of the best shows ever made, was not big on special effects. Star Wars, or Star Trek, Star Trek was never big on special effects. I mean, their biggest special effects are colored lights. So it doesn't take special effects to make a movie. In fact, special effects actually detract from a movie because they all try to be special effects to the decrement of the plot. Now, I would say the best, and I won't even call it special effects, but it's not an effect, but the best thing about this whole movie that I thought was you saw the kid in the car with his mother, and I can't remember the actor's name, but he says, "Hey, Johnny, don't you want to be a football player or an astronaut?" And then he panned over to the wheelchair. To me, that was brilliance. It really was. And that was the best part of the whole movie. KG5B.
Okay, KE5ICX, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Brenda. A couple of things on the special effects. Well, one thing on the special effects is that I thought that the suspended spacecraft and all of that, and Mike mentioned it a little bit earlier on the fact that it was convincing. I thought it was too. I thought it looked pretty good, even though it looked like one of those weather balloon things that we saw later on in another series. Overall, it kind of worked rather well. I enjoyed that, and the fact that they couldn't move it, it was immutable. That sort of thing was really kind of cool for this low-budget movie. So I thought that was good. Now, I know later on we'll probably, I don't know if we'll open it up or not, but Paul Saltel did the music for this, who was a frequent collaborator with Irwin Allen until he fell out of favor, and then John Williams came into the picture. But Paul Saltel did a very good score for this film, I think, good enough to get it by and elevate it slightly, a couple of points at least on the review scale. So I guess that was okay. Some of the effects that they did with the Cosmic Man, as far as how it worked and looked and all that, was a bit awkward, but it was effective, except for the glasses. I don't know. That was kind of weird. Don't know what that is. There's a comment from a review from Bad Movies that says, except for the silly alien figure silhouette, most of the special effects are fair, and highlights the Cosmic Man's thick spectacles by asking felicitously, if their medical science is advanced enough to cure paralysis, then how about devoting some study to eyeglasses? I don't disagree. Benjamin Franklin would probably shake his head in disbelief. That's it from me, KE5I6.
KI5ISI, Eric.
Oh, I thought, for 1959, 58, somewhere in there, I thought it was pretty good. I thought the sphere, I don't know if, there was a concept artist out there and they designed a sphere to be in the movie, because that was their grand, idea of it, or if the sphere was a result of how do we make a spacecraft look convincing. I don't know. It worked either way, and it was kind of a neat concept, right? That it might solve some scientific problems about how one travels through space and in that speed and time and all of that fun stuff. The effect of him vanishing at the end, not really vanishing, but getting put back into the ship through the ray, I thought that was pretty good. They weren't anything. It was I think Mike said, it was like Star Trek style. They got away with it. It was good enough. And I don't think I tuned into this movie to be wild with special effects. I'll reset. I think N5DB mentioned it earlier. The Jungian archetype of what the Cosmic Man is. Maybe that's what kind of put my headspace in where it was when I watched it, because I really did, watch this movie with what it was trying to say, and maybe subconsciously that's, why I did that. And I think, when you look back at it and you really think about what he was saying and what the lead scientists were saying, it's really, you can make parallels to, a rebirth, if this society is to continue on, whatever. I'm out of special effects here, but I wanted to echo that comment. That wasn't lost on me either. So effects were good enough. Back to net control, KI5, ISI.
Okay, K5ANE, go ahead.
Well, this was definitely not a high-budget movie by any measure, and we were definitely limited by technology a bit when it comes to special effects in 1959. That said, I feel a lot of the effects that they did were very tasteful and well done for what they were trying to achieve. Leaving special effects, I want to commend them for thinking big about their sci-fi, that they're, all the science fiction that they're actually portraying. This spaceship is, despite being this thing that's, clearly coming from, light years away, is actually rather small and compact, and yet, it manages to just float there, and, it's just kind of this, imposing kind of craft that kind of strikes fear in the military people, but it really isn't a fearful thing at all. It's just a near perfect ceramic sphere floating there, right? And the visitor, the Cosmic Man himself, is, he doesn't really do anything bad, but he's just kind of hovering, and, he's this non-corporeal being in a way at times, but then he can make himself this corporeal being, and it's not just, some weird robot thing walking out of, some flying saucer and, or, funny-looking green men kind of thing that's, common in a lot of, sci-fi. This wasn't a monster movie in comparison to the last classic sci-fi that we watched, which, felt that they had to have a monster, a rubber suit monster creature thing going on. So, 1 second. So yeah, in the end, it's I have to commend them for doing a good job at thinking big in their sci-fi and not limiting themselves to some of the stereotypes of outer space beings and what a flying saucer looks like. I do have to say, it's very very good coincidence that the aliens landed right next to Oak Ridge. For those who don't know, that's the giant laboratory for nuclear energy and things like that. So it's like, oh, what do you know? There just happens to be a ton of scientists right here next to this thing, just trying to study it. What do you know? Isn't that handy? K5ANE, back to net control.
Let's see. Okay, KG5PMN, James.
This is KG5PMN. Likewise, I don't know how much more add to special effects on this. Really didn't see that whole lot, and that was kind of a good thing. I guess when you, back in this era, when you try to do too much with special effects, it becomes too fake looking and too obviously, just kind of put up there like the rocket ship floating, like just a cardboard rocket ship floating on a star field. I mean, what can you really say about that? One of the other thing Tom, I think, had mentioned about the glasses, and I just kind of wondered if maybe they were just kind of a prop to make the Cosmic Man more more appealable to the, what we think of Earth people. Just kind of wondered that. Back to the net, KG5EMN.
Okay, let's see. I think Jay checked out. WT9V, Michael, go ahead.
I got nothing. I already ran out of things to say a while back. So, back to that control, WT9V.
Alrighty, W5EBB, go ahead.
Oak Ridge is a really good, cheap wine, by the way. But the mention of that also made me think of Dr. Sorensen complaining to the colonel. Dr. Sorensen saying, well, why do you want to try to destroy this? Let's study it instead of trying to blow it up. And he makes a reference to, if you crash landed, in an African country somewhere, and would you want the people to come and try to destroy your plane or help you? Now, of course, Dr. Sorensen's argument held no water because, after all, we do find out that the craft deliberately landed at Oak Ridge so it would have access to the places that the alien could then sabotage. So, yeah. Now, the special effects. The sphere, okay, a big inflatable golf ball, I'm okay with that. It works. Low budget, doesn't matter. And, yeah, I think I agree with Bill. It was probably, the levitation effect was probably by putting a stick horizontally behind it and stuck in the hill to kind of keep it upright and outside of the camera view. And now, we expect at the end the sphere to, take off dramatically like E.T. spaceship, with the Skittles rainbow and trail, but, okay, well, it was a black and white movie, I guess, so that wouldn't be possible. But, all that discussion about anti-gravity and the acceleration force and, it didn't matter in the end because it just sort of faded out of view. And, yeah, that was probably the most cost-effective way to do that scene. But it kind of detracted from all the earlier discussion. You expected it to actually move, and it never did. Now, what he should have said, if they could look forward to Star Trek descriptions, what actually happened was, let me reset. It was a temporal phase distortion in the space-time continuum, which was how it actually moved around and from time and place. So yeah, that good old temporal phase distortion. And I'm going to put Indian Love Call on loop and listen to it continuously for the rest of the night. Good night, W5EBB.
Well, I think we're confident that your head will not explode. We can hope. I was reading on Wikipedia about the special effects they mentioned. The effect of showing the cosmic man as a translucent black figure. They had Carradine wear a peculiar-looking, this is a quote, set of white tights and a hood to match. He was shot against a black background and printed in negative into the scene. So I don't know if that technique was ever used in any other movie, but I thought that was kind of creative. Aside from that, the special effects are, I think, pretty standard. Theremin music and, weapons and stuff like that. So, any more check-ins? Please come now. Okay, we're going to have a final round. If you want to say anything about anything, please check in and we'll go through a rotation.
KI5ISI.
W5FC.
I've got KF5ISI, and the next one I missed. Are you a new check-in?
Maybe that was me, KD5JRS.
Okay, KD5JRS, your name, please?
It's going to be Al over here in Hurst.
Okay, did you want to join the discussion about the movie?
No, I was just checking in. I happened to wake, heard the radio going, so I was sitting here listening to it. Yeah, them sci-fi movies with the strings and all, and Godzilla, I remember them from a long time ago. But yeah, I think me and a friend was having a discussion about how fake they were. Godzilla. Anyway, back to you.
Right. Okay, KF5ISI. Eric, comments, please.
Just a quick one. Did the Cosmic Man die at the end, or did he, just get sucked back into a ship and leave? Back to net control, KF5ISI.
The way I interpreted that is they shot him. We don't know if he was dead, but he was sucked up into the spaceship and went away. And I think they leave us hanging. Did whatever was inside suck up his dead body, or did they just save him and take him to the ship? Any other opinions on this? WB50ZL.
KG5P.
KG5P.
Well, I suspect the ending was kind of like the day the Earth stood still, and he just kind of morphed back to life for a certain period of time, and then that was the end. As, i.e., the day the Earth stood still. Brenda is a great net. I totally enjoyed it. You're indeed a net control expert. KG5P.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. All right, we have a burning question for KE5ICX. What is our punishment going to be for next week?
All right, Brenda, I guarantee you've never seen this film. And this is KE5ICX, posted December 6, 2019. The Beyond. The Beyond. Astronauts modified with advanced robotics are sent through a newly discovered wormhole. When the mission returns unexpectedly, the space agency race to discover what the astronauts encountered on their groundbreaking interstellar journey. Yeah. Well, it's available online. It's an hour and 31 minutes long. It looks like it's got some stuff in it. Back to you, KE5I6.
Oh, that's very exciting. I'm so sorry I'm not net control next time. All right. Any last minute comments, check-ins, or anything? Please come now.
WT9V.
WT9V. Go ahead, Michael.
I'm sure Kane would let you take this one. You know, you can do 2 in a row. The rest of us won't complain.
Well, that wouldn't be fair. I'm sure he's looking forward to it.
He's looking forward to it tonight, too, but that didn't stop you.
Wow, this is a tough crowd. All right, I think I'm going to leave. This is WB50ZL clear.
WT9V. Have a good night.
Tom, to clarify, that is the Beyond from 2017?
Ooh, it shows a post of 2019. It says it was released in 2018. Be careful. This is a common title, so there could have been like 35 movies that came out with this same title. What do you think?
Yes, I know. So I've actually seen this one, The Beyond, 2017, 2018. Yes, drama, sci-fi, not to be confused with the strange horror movie from 1981 of the same name, W5EBB.
All right, well, I don't know. We'll see how this all plays out. I've never seen it before. It could be, you probably already know more about it because you already saw it, David, so I don't know. We'll just have to see how this all plays out. Just one that surfaced. You know, it's a floater, not a sinker. KE5ICX.
Double with you, David. There's also a TV series, Beyond, which was a science fiction drama TV series in 1917. Excuse me, 2017, inside BB.
And we're not watching that one, WT9V.
Not to change the subject here, it's KD5JRS, but I just became aware of it today that there's a Hangover 3. I didn't even know about that. You know, a lot of movies, they quit after 2, but the Hangover, they had to make a third one. I don't guess I ever seen it.
I think if the first movie makes enough money, they'll make 2 or 3 more and get as much as they can out of it. But yeah, I think the Beyond we're talking about has this plot summary. After observing an anomaly in space, scientists transplant human brains into synthetic bodies and send them through the wormhole. I think that's the movie we're going to watch. W5EBB.
As a note, if we do decide to watch a TV show from 1917, I'm going to have to dust off my Farnsworth. I'm not entirely sure it's in good working order. K5A&E.
I accidentally ran a time machine 100 years in the past. It was 2017. It's late. Good night, inside BB.
And it has Morse code subtitles.
Are you serious?
A wonderful son. You have to visit it sometime.
You mean the movie we're watching has Morse code subtitles, or is this a joke?
You'll have to watch it to find out.
It's got to be a joke. Nobody uses Morse code anymore.
Well, I do. I don't know about you guys. Inside BB. See you later.
I seriously disagree. Buddy, KG5P.
I'm learning enough to know that I'm probably going to have to change my call sign, KI5ISI.
W5FC.
Well, you keep your call sign, but don't call nobody. Don't say nobody uses CW. Them's fighting words.
I thought that might get you if you were still listening, Mike.
CW, this FM stuff is glorified citizens band. Real hams use CW.
Well, then why are you on this net, Mike? This isn't a CW net. Go away. WT9V.
I've been trying to figure that out myself. What am I doing here?
That's okay. We've been trying to figure it out, too.
What did Frank Sinatra say to the ham radio operator complaining about his Morse code keying?
Doobie-doobie-doo. I'm trying to think.
I did it my way. W5 EBB. I'm clear.
Oh, you're faster than I am. I should have thought of that. KG5P clear.
Little Richard just passed away. He said, ba-dop, bop, 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 ba-dop, bop, bop. Inside BB clear.
Indeed sad. Little Richard, he was the father of rock and roll. One of my all-time favorites, KG5P.
JD5, JR.